Alright guys, so I have had a lot of requests about how I do my coffee etch on my Damascus. So, what I have here are two small blades that are Damascus, and we're going to talk about how to finish them, what they should look like before you etch them. So, first of all, I hand finish mine to 6 or sometimes, bare minimum 600 grit hand finish. Finish plays a big role in how your etch will turn out. So this one is actually an 800 grit finish. The other one's a 600 grit finish. So first of all, or I guess second of all, clean them before you etch them. This is what I use. Just lacquer thinner. I get it in very big jugs because it's way cheaper to buy it like that. And then wear gloves. Gloves are important. Oils from our hands will get on the blades and leave marks, spots that won't etch, stuff like that. So at this point in time, make sure you wear gloves. So we'll get this good and wet. Just clean this real good. Wipe it down real good. So we don't want anything on here. Soak it up. Rub it. I clean them very thoroughly. There's that. And I will just clean the daylights out of these things. I'm not worried about the handle on this because, of course, naturally it's going to be all covered up with scales. But just make sure you clean it really good. And then it's really important right now to make sure you got your gloves on. Try not to touch these at all with your bare hands, because we're going to go into our ferric chloride now. And I'll let these set in ferric chloride probably for 5 minutes, sometimes a little longer, depending on how my etch comes out. Because this is an important part, because the reason I soak it in the ferric is it gives the coffee something to adhere to. I've had a lot of guys message me saying, hey, I did the coffee etch, but when I pull it out and I wipe it off, it just the whole etch just wipes right off. Well, if you didn't put it in ferric first, there's nothing for that coffee to stick to, because you have this really fine finish on here, and it won't stick. Basically, the coffee, it etches, but it doesn't etch much. You're just basically using the coffee as a dye to fill the pores that were created by the ferric. So I guess what we'll do now is we'll go over and we'll etch this. Okay, so I guess I should explain a little bit about my ferric. I have homemade ferric. So what I did to make my ferric is you take a piece of quadruple alt steel wool, the non-stainless type, and you dissolve it in, my solution was 1 pint of muriatic acid, and once it's dissolved, I used hydrogen peroxide, a 1-to-1 mixture, so 1 pint of hydrogen peroxide. Make sure you do this in a ventilated area because it is nasty. Don't let the muriatic and the steel wool be in an enclosed room, because it'll knock you out. It's pretty bad. So do not do it in a closed room. Do it outside. But that's my formula for my ferric. It works well. And like I said, I'll etch this for probably 5 minutes. I'm not going to show you that process because, well, who wants to sit and watch knives in a ferric chloride bath for 5 minutes? So I'll take a little break here. I'll etch these, show you the etch, and once again, we will, after the ferric, we will clean these with the lacquer thinner that we have here. Alright guys, so here are the blades after etch. You can see I don't have a super good etch, but it's what I want. I don't want a deep etch on these. After I did the ferric, I rinsed them off with just tap water. And then, I mean, that's all you have to do. Just rinse them really well with tap water. You don't have to do the neutralization or anything like that. If you want to do it, you can use some Windex or something with ammonia. Now, so what I like to do now is take some quadruple aught steel wool and go over this with the steel wool to get all the oxides off, because there's still, you know, there's a layer there that might not stick to. So we'll just clean that up, scrub it up. Same way with this little guy, and use a brand new piece of steel wool because we don't want to contaminate this blade at all. Definitely use a new piece. I mean, I used a little bit of steel wool that was left over, but if you want success, it's all in the details. So you can see we have a pretty nice etch, but if you want that nice dark etch that I get, this is how we go about doing it. So now, again, same lacquer thinner. Get all those particles off that we had earlier from the steel wool. Just clean it up. Like I said, it's, you know, just cleanliness is next to godliness if you want good results. All these things can contaminate, and when you put this much time and effort into something, you know, little details make the difference. So next step is to make our coffee, and I will show you that process and what brand I use. It really doesn't matter brand, I don't think. I've used several different kinds, and I just go with the cheapest, nastiest stuff I can get from the dollar store. And to be honest, that seems to work the best. So we'll come back to you, and we'll show you that process. Alright, welcome back guys. So this is the instant coffee. Some guys have been asking about regular coffee. I've never tried regular coffee, but instant coffee is the ticket for me. So this is just a dollar store instant coffee. I think this whole thing costs like $3. I mix it really strong. About a third cup of this to a third cup of water, and so on. So I don't need, you know, I need this much in here, so I don't need a whole lot. Maybe a cup of this and 3 cups of water, and I'll heat this up, and I'll basically get it to a boil in the microwave, and then I'll put my knives in. It seems to work much faster when it's hot, and if I have time, if I don't do this like overnight, what I will do is like I'll take the knives out every hour or so, put it back in the microwave, get it back up to that temperature, and then throw the knives back in. And usually 4 cycles of that is more than enough. Cold, if you just decide to heat it up once and throw them in and do it overnight, that works too. It just seems like it speeds up the process if you keep it hot. And one of the guys that I had posted this for earlier mentioned maybe a hot plate. Get yourself a stainless steel mug or something and put it on a hot plate, and that may be fantastic. I don't know. So yeah, so 1/3 cup instant coffee to 1 cup of water, and I'm gonna get my mixture done off camera here, get it set up, get the knives in, and then we'll do the reveal in a few hours. Alright guys, back to our etch from overnight. This was our instant coffee. These are our blades, so what I'm going to do is pull these out, rinse them. I have just tap water here, and we're going to rinse them off. Normally I do this in my sink, but I can't record in my sink. And then we're going to just tap it dry. Maybe do a little wipe. Try to get all that water off there. And there you go. And we're going to let this sit for about an hour. I'm actually going to put some oil on it too. Before we do anything with it, let it sit. And like I said, I'll put some oil on that before, because it will rust sitting here. You can see I'm wiping it on the towel, and there's really no coffee coming off. See? So it's on there pretty good, but we don't want to do anything to it right now until we let that sit for a little bit. I'm going to add a little oil. And we're going to let that sit. Maybe that's a little much. There we go. But, so there's our coffee etch. And you can see I'm wiping it, nothing, there's no blackness coming off at all. And like I said, I'll let that sit for an hour or so before I decide to do anything else with it, before I start putting handles on or whatnot. So I hope that helps you guys. If you guys got any more questions, just ask. You can message me on Facebook at Northwoods Forge, or at my YouTube channel. Once again, Northwoods Forge. So that's all there is to it, guys. Thanks.